As calls for financial planning intensifies, the innovators have come up with tools to help consumers achieve this now, but there's been mixed reaction to this, not necessarily to the efficacy of these, but the risks this may pose. Some banks, including the Ombudsman for banking services, have said that submitting sensitive personal details to a third party posed a fundamental risk to consumers' security. Well, we'll find out about all of this with our panel, Jessica Hubbard from FinWeek, Stephen Cohn, MD of Sage Pastel, Justin Bradshaw, Head of Nedbank Personal Finance Management, and of course Garth Tennyson is still with me at the desk. Jessica, thanks so much for joining us, and of course Stephen and Justin, thanks so much for your time. Jessica, give us a background to all of this and the innovations we've seen in personal financial management.
The PFM, personal financial management scene, kind of got kicked off, I'd say last year, April, when 227 technology startup headed by Christo Darvel, one of our more well-known entrepreneurs in the tech space. He launched 227 to basically aggregate consumers' personal financial data, and their whole intent was to lay it out in a very attractive graphical way, so that people could see exactly where their money is going. Do they spend too much on entertainment a month? Are their bank charges too high? And in that way, help them to budget more effectively. Mm-hmm. It was a controversial launch.
Graphically, charged website, so it helps you understand.
It's all about the graphics. Yeah. So you see it in pie graphs and bar charts and all of that. And banks didn't react well to it because Christo Darvel didn't coordinate with them, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And the banks came out and said, there's a huge security issue. You can't give out your online banking details to a third-party provider without our permission. And all of the banks, excepting for FNB, didn't allow or didn't give their customers permission, so to speak, to use the service. And they said, if something does happen, if there's fraud, we will not be responsible for it. You are liable. In the interim, the banks started working on their own personal financial management tools. And we've seen Nedbank come out with one, Pastel's come out with one. So it's an interesting space, and not everybody is charging for it. 227 does charge 70 Rand a month.
Yeah, you've got a 1 month free trial there. Nedbank is free, of course. You have to be a Nedbank customer. But
no, you don't.
No, you don't.
You can be any South African person. You can register for My Financial Life, and it's free.
So basically, this is obviously an innovative tool to be able to see where all your money is going and how much money you have, how much money you need to save to reach certain goals. But talk to us about the security issues. Did Nedbank have a problem when 227 came out with their product?
Well, basically our response to 227 is simply that clients must make their own choices. And if they're going to give their credentials to a third party, they must make sure it's a trustworthy third party. If they want to find out from the bank what their opinion is, they must come and speak to us and find out the risks of giving their credentials to that third party. And basically, if their credentials are compromised to a third party and losses do occur, then yes, that is at their own risk.
But have there been security issues post the launch of 227?
There haven't been any security issues, and if you look at Yodlee, who is 227's aggregator, so to speak, they gather the information for 227. They're a US-based company. They haven't had any security breaches, and most of the big banks in America, Bank of America, Citibank, they make use of Yodlee, so they do have an impeccable track record. So the argument that your financial details aren't safe, it doesn't really hold water. Not that I can gather.
Well, your thoughts on that, Justin? Have you developed your own model?
My name's Stephen. Sorry.
Stephen.
What nobody's discussed here is that FNB have provided you with a secondary log-on, and it's read-only. So even if that information is compromised, that particular user can only read information. So they can't pull money out of your account. And FNB were the only bank at the time that was prepared to do that, and I'll be a bit controversial. I think that you guys and ABSA didn't want to go for this because you guys were developing your own software. And I think that's why you guys gave 227 a hard time. You could have done what FNB did and just give a secondary log-on with the credentials. What Pastel have done is we completely agnostic, and I must say I wasn't aware that you guys were agnostic as well, that you could allow people to use other banks.
Sure.
So hats off to you for that. But we're a software company. We've been around for 20 years. We have hundreds of thousands of users, and all we're trying to achieve is that if people are comfortable with doing their financial stuff personally, then that'd be quite cool to go and use it for their business as well. And we didn't create this market. Intuit in America had a product called Quicken in probably 1990, and they had 10 million users. They created the market. But what's interesting for me is that the web now has really allowed all of us to play in this online space, which makes a hell of a lot more sense. So you can tie it up to internet banking and all that stuff. And I think that's why you're seeing so many products come out now, because the web is the perfect platform. But the security thing, I mean, we all got 128 levels of security and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure there's some Russian hacker that if he really wanted to.
Is it water under the bridge yet?
Well, I mean, the way Nedbank's approached it is when you log on to internet banking, you use a profile, a PIN code, and a password. So when you link in an account using Yodlee, because we also use Yodlee, you only use the PIN code. So it's not a compromise of all three credentials. If anyone does happen to have a keylogger installed on that computer that you're using, they won't be able to access your internet banking. So it's as good as a read-only access like FNB does.
Look, I think it's overblown myself.
I would agree with that, and I think in the US, for example, they've moved past the security concerns and they're more moving towards, does it really work? Is there evidence of this really helping people? How can we improve it?
So let's move past it in this discussion. Garth, your thoughts?
Well, I'd actually like to ask the guys a question, because I come from a totally different angle. I think financial management tools are a load of nonsense. To me, it's exactly like someone who decides they want to lose weight and they hit the infomercials and buy an ab machine and all the other gadgets, but they don't actually change their behavior. They don't eat less and they don't exercise more. And to me, financial management is all about behavior. It's about making sure, managing finances is very simple. You've got a certain amount coming in and you've got a certain amount going out. And what you've got to do is make sure the amount going out is less than the amount coming in. And everything I've seen with friends, family, people I meet randomly, it all comes down to they cannot moderate their behavior. So
it's about discipline and the psychological aspect of it.
And delaying satisfaction or gratification delay. You can't just see nice shoes and buy them now. Sometimes you've got to think, well, hang on, I'll save up for that first. So my question to you guys is, does your product help people change their behavior, or does it just create the illusion that I'm managing my finances because I now have this tool on a website?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think without wanting to change, you're not going to change. So just like signing up for a gym membership doesn't mean you're going to get fit automatically. And I think PFM is basically the equivalent of that scale that's seen there, that you're going to go and weigh yourself, see what you weigh, go train, and hopefully next time when you weigh yourself, you've gone down a bit. Or, I mean, whatever comparison you want to make to that kind of machine. That's what PFM really is. It's up to you to really look at that, take that information, digest it, and then decide next time you're going out, are you going to swipe that card, spend that extra bit of cash, or are you going to think twice?
Can I just add to that? For me, I'm not looking to change behavior. My financial life is a mess, and I carry that burden with me psychologically. So just to know that the stuff's there, and when my accountant asks for my tax return at the end of the year, I can press a button. And you can scan, like let's say you go to Macro and you buy a fridge, you scan the warranty, you attach it to a transaction. So if the fridge bombs, you can just go and search, oh, there it is. So I'm just saying, just control the mess. I'm not proposing that I can be so influential that I'm going to make people save money. Maybe it's cool to be irresponsible. I mean, we have to enjoy life. I don't want to see you as somebody's kind
Maybe
of
it's
affecting
cool
people.
to be irresponsible. Don't perhaps follow his advice, but okay.
But it's control.
We do hear what you're saying, because it does help you collate your financial life into one space where you can see it. You can have your check accounts, your credit cards, your savings account. Give me other ideas of what you can see. Even store credit cards. It can all be collated.
Okay,
you can see how much money you actually owe.
But the kind of stuff we're doing, we've got an asset register. You can put all your TV serial number. So when your insurance person walks in, here's the replacement value of my stuff. We've got stuff where you can put all your contracts. So you've got a cell phone contract. When is it expiring? I can't remember. Oh, there it is. I scanned the document. Your FICA stuff, send your RD book, like scans, utility bills. I'm just trying to control the mess.
Fair enough.
Give us some of the ideas of the features that you have to help people manage their money better.
Okay, just to go back to that question you asked previously, I mean, you can also link things such as BAM miles, SA Voyager miles, your Clicks Club card points, investments that you have at Old Mutual, retirement annuities at Allen Gray, etc., etc.
So points are actually, money that you haven't used yet.
Well, yeah, because you want to keep track of that too. Those are going to expire, and they have meaning to you.
I think that's important.
So you want to keep track of it, absolutely.
Okay.
And then once they're on there, I mean, you can start analysing your expenses, seeing the transactions going through your account, creating a budget, setting savings goals, viewing all your transactions on a calendar view. I mean, often what happens when you start your first job, you get that salary, quickly rush out and spend it, and forget all about all those things you signed up for, the cell phone contract, etc. So keeping track of it in a bit of a calendar view kind of shows you when that money is going to go out your account, and you can plan ahead to accommodate it.
But what makes your product different to the other products out there?
Well, I mean, to be honest, all of us are using Yodlee. 24/7 uses Yodlee, Nedbank uses Yodlee. So the core functionality is very similar. What we've done as Nedbank is obviously when you log on, all your Nedbank accounts are there automatically. You don't have to link them. They're there for you from the start. And then what we've also done from a security point of view, to go back to that, is we use our technology called Approve It. So what happens is it sends an out-of-band signal to your phone that says, is it you logging on to My Financial Life? You respond on your phone and say, yes, it is me, just to give that extra layer of security. Obviously, what we've landed now is just the first step, and we want to enhance My Financial Life going forward, so watch the space.
Okay, and of course, so from your side, where you say everyone can just see the mess that perhaps is their financial life, not necessarily, but tell us about some of the features that you have at Pastel.
Look, I first want to say we use Yodlee purely as the bank statement download. Okay. We wrote our product from scratch, and the banks have used a lot of Yodlee's actual engine where we don't. And we feel we actually take pride in the fact that we're creators of stuff. So I've got people in the office using this and telling our programmers, do this really helps me. So it's like
automatic feedback.
Well, it's brilliant because people are excited, and to see your own staff get frustrated and run upstairs to the program and say, guys, rather do it this way. So I've got to tell you, at work we're having a gas with this. We don't earn money from it. Our stuff is business software.
Why are you spending resources on it then?
Because it's, you know that Google thing like, guys, spend an hour a day? And we started doing that, and then all of a sudden they started loving it. But because I've got the financial software, which you've got 10 programmers writing, we're using a lot of those components for the business software in this. And it's just been the biggest gas, I've got to tell you, because it's not we don't have to make money out of this.
You're smiling there.
I'm enjoying it.
I'm certainly enjoying it
Come
too.
Is there any risk that once people are locked in and it gets some groundswell that later on you do start charging?
No, I
Because
mean,
that's what the cynic in me says is going to happen.
Yeah, it's not our intention to ever charge for what we're offering right now. I mean, as
Why are you doing it then?
Well, one, we believe in financial fitness, so we don't believe that if you want to take control of your financial life that you should pay for it. So, yeah, sign on. And then as we launch new things, they may be chargeable. We might introduce new functionality, not the stuff that's there right now, and we might choose to charge for that.
Some would argue that the banks are getting involved because they're seeing these third-party service providers coming into the market, and they want to control their own ecosystems. They don't want people sharing their information outside of what they can control, just to play devil's advocate. But all of these tools are getting more advanced and sophisticated, so people are going to have a lot of choice.
What's been the response in the States where you say it really started there, it has taken off? Has it worked? Has there been any research on it?
There has been research on it. There hasn't been many sort of firm numbers over does it really improve your budgeting, does it really help people save more. They say that 1 in 4 people in the US are using it. It's very much a younger generation tool, so apparently about 16% of baby boomers use it. And mint.com is the big one globally, and half of their users are between 24 and 35. So it's definitely still a tool that younger generations use, which perhaps is problematic because you could argue that older people, their finances are more complicated and they could be the ones best positioned to benefit. So
time's up, so just closing comments if you don't mind.
We've also got mobile devices, so you can have your smartphone, take a picture of the bill, attach it to a transaction, and I think for the younger generation that's cool. But as they go and their stuff becomes more complicated, features are going to be added, and it's
absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Just want to add on to that.
Well, just to say that, I mean, the older generation is starting to get into Facebook. There are a lot of older people staying at home, logging on every day. It just takes time to get used to it. So I think as soon as they start registering and start playing, they'll get to know about it.